Going on, guys? My name is Policy Q, man, and it is a privilege tonight to share a message with you tonight. I am live from Santa Monica, California. God sometimes He just blows my mind how He's always able to come through, man. I got to tell you something. I'm out here in Santa Monica. I needed Wi-Fi, right? I needed like internet connection. My connection wasn't good, and I just happened to have a buddy who has this cool personal hotspot, so I'm able to stream this from anywhere. So I'm excited. Welcome. I'm going to kind of dive right into it, right? For those who are brand new, for those who are watching this for the very first time, I take a day out of the week, which happens to be on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, to do a message, right? Now, this message is different than anything you've ever heard, right? It's a message of love, right? If you must know. But I'm excited to share with you from Santa Monica, California. Me and my wife just moved here. We've made officially a week in about 2 days, right? I'm going to get right into it, right? Today's message is called Take the Wheel. It may make I promise you that by the end of this message, it's going to make a lot of sense to you, right? At least I hope it does, right? But I'm going to kind of get right into it, right? And how this message came about. Actually, I was thinking about moments in my life where I needed, I was thinking about moments in my life where I just was not in control, and not only did it not feel good, right? But I was afraid, and all of a sudden, I just came up with these stories, and I decided to put this message together for you, right? I really believe that that if you're listening to this message tonight, there is a possibility by the end of this message that you might experience God's love, right? Actually, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I've been praying for, right? So make sure you pay close attention, because there might be a breakthrough either in the beginning, either through the middle, or maybe at the end, because God has the ability to work in amazing ways. Back in 2013. I'll never forget this, because in 2013, for those who don't know, me and my wife used to run a martial arts school, and it was very successful, right? At the time, it was bringing in like $20,000 a month, right? We were managing it, we were teaching it, we were creating the sales, and we were living a very comfortable life. But we felt like the chapter in our life was coming to an end, and I'm not sure if that's where you are right now. I'm not sure if you're finding yourself in life right now at a point where you feel like the chapter's coming to an end. And in 2013, that's what we felt. We got this pull, and we felt God telling us that we needed to move from what we were doing so we can be able to expand on a larger level. So what did we do? We did the unthinkable. We did what most people would consider stupid. We did what people call us irresponsible. It just logically didn't make sense from the outside, right? But from the inside, it was clear as day, right? And we decided to resign from the martial arts school to pursue our purpose, our mission, our calling in life, right? And when we did that, not only did we depart ways from the martial arts school, but we also departed ways from our only income source, right? Which at the time, we really didn't understand how to make any money besides doing martial arts, running a martial arts school, right? And we fell on very hard times, my friend. I mean, moments and days where we just didn't know how we were going to come up with food. Moments and days where we just didn't know if this was the right thing to do, right? Sometimes we make a decision. Sometimes we kind of step out on faith, and we kind of feel like this is what we're supposed to do. And then all of a sudden, we begin to start doubting. Right. And that's where I was at. I didn't understand why this was happening. I couldn't really figure out this is something awesome, dude. I'm glad that you're enjoying it, Brandon. And I wasn't really understanding it. Right. That's what happened in 2013. We hit on hard times, man, really hard times. Right. We decided to leave, and we basically got evicted from the place we were living in because we didn't have any money to pay for it. Right. We were just completely, just really at the lowest point in our life. And then in 2014, I kind of like to jump around, but in 2014, another thing happened. In 2014, we decided to buy a one-way ticket to Seattle, Washington, okay? Seattle, Washington, because we felt like there was an event there that was going to change our life. What it required, it was something simple. It was a dose of faith. It required us to have faith that if we decided to go out there, that event was going to be so powerful that it was going to help us get back home. Actually, when we got there, we had a negative account of $4. And when we got there, we had no money to eat. And, it's so amazing. But sometimes when you just make a decision, you kind of step out on faith. It's amazing to see how God has the ability He has the ability and the power to kind of begin to start guiding your steps. As you take a step out, all of a sudden you kind of see God beginning to start putting the pieces in place for you to step on so you don't fall. And we decided to buy a one-way ticket. All of a sudden, the event was powerful. It was amazing, but we found ourselves with not even having a place to stay, no money to go back, and we felt on hard times. We fell on hard times, right? But all of a sudden, great things began to happen, and I'm excited to share with you what the outcome of those two stories were in the next couple of minutes. But I want you to stick here with me for a couple of seconds here, okay? Why am I sharing these stories with you? Okay, I promise you that the stories will make sense, right? I'm not going to be here on very long because Facebook kicks me out after 20 minutes, right? My computer is dying and I have to catch up with some friends, right? But I was reading this book by Brian Houston, which is the pastor of Hillsong Church, right? He's an amazing individual, amazing man of God. And he wrote a book called Live, Love, Lead, okay? And in this book, this verse completely changed my perspective. It changed my outlook. I mean, it was amazing, okay? And in the verse, this is exactly what it said in the book. It said, we have to control our life. We have to take control of our life, and we have to let Jesus guide our steps. That's what it said. Now, that's confusing. I don't know about you, but when I read that, I had a very hard time dealing with that, because it's basically saying we got to take control of our future, which I don't know about you, but I love to take control of things. But at the same time, it says we have to be willing to let God guide us, which means that we have to let go of that control. So we have to control our future, but then we have to let go of control. It's like, it's very contradicting. It doesn't make any sense, right? Number one, it's hard to let go of control because we like to control everything. I don't know about you, but I know that I like to control everything. Even this message, I thought I was going to do it a certain way, and here I am in Santa Monica, right, chilling here. This is not what was planned for, and I was getting frustrated because I like to control things, right? So I had a hard time dealing with this verse, okay? I had a hard time dealing with this verse. Anyways, pattern interrupt really quickly. I have a problem. I legit have a problem. How many of you guys have a problem? If you do, raise your hand, because I have a legit problem, okay? Here's the problem that I have, okay? I don't know about you, but I get really inspired, and when I get inspired, I'm like, I start emailing my list, or I start to post an inspirational post on Facebook, and I'm like, man, this is amazing. And I press the button, I post it. A couple of minutes later, my wife comes up to me and she's like, babe, she puts the phone up to me and she starts to read the words that I just wrote on that inspirational Facebook post, and it sounds like gibberish. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to go edit it. Here's what I mean, right? My mind thinks a lot faster than what I write. Has that ever happened to you? So I'm like writing, and my mind thinks that I'm writing it, but I'm not really writing it. So like, I'll give you an example, right? Let's just imagine you text me, right? And I text back, right? Let's say we're gonna hang out. Like, here's how it would look, right? So in my mind, I would write in the text message something like this: sounds great, count me in. I'm so excited to hang out. But in real life, if you actually read it, it sounds something like this: sounds great, count in, I am so to hang out tonight. It doesn't make any sense, right? Doesn't make any sense. That's my problem that I have. I'm just being real, right? But anyways, okay. Anyways, going back to what I was sharing with you guys, right? There's something that I want to share with you guys, which is what the message today is, which is take the wheel. Take the wheel. It's deciding to let go of the control that we have and giving it up to Jesus, right? Now, you don't have to believe in Jesus. That's not what I'm here for, right? I don't want to impose my belief in you, but I do want you to hear me out for just a couple of minutes, because that's all I have, right? In Matthew 14, 22, 23, right? I want to read you a verse in Matthew 14, verse 22 to 23, okay? And just so I can paint a picture for you, just so I can paint a quick picture for you, okay? Jesus just finished speaking life into people, right? So anyways, they get on a boat and he tells his disciples, okay? And his disciples are like his buddies, right? His ride or die homies. He tells his disciples to get on the boat, right? They get on the boat, and all of a sudden they're going to a different place, right? In the middle of the night, Jesus feels the need to pray to his father, right? He feels the need that he needs to spend some time with his father. So he rows the boat to a mountain. He climbs the mountain, he prays, and when he comes down from the mountain, the winds were so strong that it pushed out the boat all the way in the middle of the sea, right? So Jesus being Jesus, well, he says, well, it seems like I'm gonna have to walk on water now, okay? Here's what happens. He walks on water to get on the boat, right? Now the Bible, here's what it says, right? Let me just share with you here. It says here, in the fourth watch of the night. Okay, the fourth watch of the night, it translates into, just imagine, anywhere from 3 a.m. to about 6 a.m. in the morning. Super early, okay? The sun is still down, like no one's paying, like it's early, okay? Do you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning? I don't know, man. I wake up around, like, I was doing 4 o'clock, but now that I'm here in Los Angeles, I'm waking up like around 5 o'clock, okay? Anyways, check this out. It says here, in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went on to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled. Okay, there's another version that says they were terrified. They were terrified. You know, sometimes God, Jesus, right? Sometimes God, we don't understand God because he puts us in uncomfortable situations, right? Uncomfortable situations. Like, letting go of our control is a very uncomfortable thing. But here's what I do want to let you know. I have yet to this day find someone that's made a difference in this world, that's done something spectacular for the world, for the people, that has not gotten uncomfortable. Here's what I mean. People who stay in their comfort zone only care about themselves, right? Therefore, they're never willing to take a step of faith. They're never willing to take a risk. They're never willing to do something that can benefit other people. Okay, now, if that for some reason is you and I offended you, I apologize, but I have to let you know that used to be me. Okay, some of you guys are watching this and saying, what are you talking about? You see, doing this message live with you guys at one point in my life was a very uncomfortable thing to do. I remember teaching karate, and I remember crying after my classes because I completely sucked at speaking. I completely was terrible at communicating. I remember teaching classes and the kids making fun of me, adults making fun of me, and I used to hate it. But somehow God was able to use that as a training ground for me to break through so I could speak a message of life and empowerment to you right now who's watching this. I wonder what terrifies you. I wonder what God is stirring up in your life that's making you uncomfortable, and you don't want to kind of do it because you're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But let me share something with you, right? Over that uncomfortable feeling, it's glory, baby. It's glory, and it is an amazing feeling. You see, had I not broken through that uncomfortable feeling, that really felt like Jesus was terrifying me, right? The same way the disciples were terrified, Jesus in sometimes has a way to terrify us by making us do uncomfortable things, right? Anyways, I'll keep reading here, okay? And it says here, and then the disciples saw him walking on the sea, right? Saying, it's a spirit. Another version says, it's a ghost. It's a ghost. They thought it was a ghost. Hey, I don't blame them. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. They see a random guy walking on the lake, on the sea, okay? You would think it's a ghost too, right? So they scream and they're like, it's a ghost. You see, sometimes we distort things. Here's what I mean, okay? Like, for example, have you ever been in your room, the lights are off, you see something crawling, right? And all of a sudden you turn the lights on, you think it's a bug, you freak out, and then it's a piece of paper that was just rolling. You've ever been there? I'm not sure if you've ever been there, right? My friend in Costa Rica, he was walking through the woods, and all of a sudden he saw a rattlesnake, and he got scared. He was like, it's a snake. And then he looks at it, and it was just a piece of branch, right? We sometimes tend to distort reality. And sometimes there is our circumstance, our situation, the challenges that we're going through, sometimes distort the glory and the promise that God has over your life. Sometimes the situations, all of those things begin to start bringing us down, that self-doubt, and it distorts the promise that God has over your life. It almost makes you think, is this ever going to happen? Or is this really going to manifest, right? I'm not sure if you've ever felt that way, But I know I have. Okay, I'm going to continue to keep reading. And it says here, but straightway Jesus spoke to them, saying, be good of cheer. It is I. Be not afraid. That's what Jesus said. You know, sometimes in life, right, when we're doing things, we need to hear God's voice, right? It's like we need to hear God's voice, because sometimes we need to hear his voice so we can know that everything's okay. Back in 2013, when we left the martial arts school, we needed to hear that voice because we were scared, we were afraid. We've never ever had venture outside of that. We never had done that, right? Not only that, but our only income source was there. There's many nights where I doubted, my wife doubted, is this really what we're supposed to be doing? Are we really supposed to be struggling like this? But you know what? In hardship, something beautiful happens, because hardship kind of pins you up against the wall, shakes you up, looks at you in your eyes. And in that moment, you have the decision to either become a better person or to give in. And you know what? The truth is that I gave in had it not been for the power of Jesus, man. I'm just letting you know, I'm keeping it real. That's the truth, man. And hopefully you guys can understand that. Hopefully you guys can feel that. Hopefully you guys can see that, right? It's hard to believe in something that you can't see. But you know, right now as I'm looking into the sky, I can't see the stars, but they're there. Right now, I can't see my heart, but I know it's there, right? You just have to have faith. You have to have faith. And that's what Jesus says. Be good of cheer. It is I. Be not afraid. And I wonder how many of you guys watching this, sitting right now, listening to the sound of my voice, need to hear that word of encouragement. I know I need to hear it many times. One of my friends always comes on time. He always, you know, every time I'm going through something in my life, for some reason, he always calls me at the perfect timing, right? When I need to hear it. And I can't tell you how amazing it is. Do you guys have people like that in your life where they just call you at the right time? They just text you at the right time, right when you're ready to give in. They text you, they call you, and it's like, bam, right? Well, you know, people aren't perfect, and people sometimes won't be there all the time for you. But I'm here to tell you that what Jesus said, be good of cheer, it is I, be not afraid. That God is dispensable at all times of the day. I'm here to let you know that at whatever hour of the day, whether at 3 a.m. in the morning, whether at midnight, whatever time or day or season that you're going through, God is willing to listen to you, and God is willing to stretch out his hand to help you out. Then here's what happens, right? So now the disciples are like, oh my God, who is this guy walking on the water, right? They're all freaked out, right? And then Peter, one of his disciples, says, Lord, if it be thou, bid come unto thee on the water. And he said, come. And then, right, he's basically saying, Lord, if this is really you, tell me right now that this is really you. This is important for us to understand, because sometimes, right, when it comes to making decisions, when it comes to deciding to pursue something or do something, we need confirmation, right? Life is hard life is hard doing it alone. Life is a lot simpler doing it with God. How awesome would it be that every time that you're faced with a challenge, you have the ability to tap into an infinite God with infinite answers that has the ability to respond to you in an instant and give you confirmation if what you're about to get into, if what the decision you're going to do is the right one. How amazing is that we serve a God that has the ability to do that, right? And that's what Peter is saying at this very moment. He's saying, God, if it's you, let me know. I want to let you know that whatever you're going through, if you're in the midst of making that decision, maybe you've been wanting to take a leap of faith and begin to start something or begin to do something in your life, but you just haven't heard that confirmation. I pray to God that after this message that you can pray to God and God can answer that. And he can reveal himself through people, through so many different ways. So don't ever put God in the box, because he's unlimited, right? And then it says Peter then comes down and starts to walk on water. This is crazy, okay? I don't expect you to believe this, because a lot of people didn't believe in what we were doing. Going back to 2013, when we left the SMA school, that was the best decision that we ever made. At the time, it was the stupidest, the dumbest. It didn't make any sense. But I'm here to tell you, as I stand here alive and healthy, it was the best decision we ever made. because it opened doors, and it is the reason why I'm here today sharing this message with you. Back in 2014, when we bought a one-way ticket to Seattle, when we went to that event, several months later, we had a breakthrough in our business. The stuff that we've learned at an event, in that event, is responsible for a lot of the things that I do in my business that has helped me grow and continue to help me, and has continued to just mold me as a business person, right? You see, in the beginning, it never looks like that. In the beginning, I didn't expect people to believe in me. I didn't expect people to understand what I had heard from God. And I want to let you know something. Don't expect people to understand what God has downloaded to you. Don't expect people to understand what God has placed in your heart, because that's between you and God. People don't understand. It's the reason why some of us, that's the reason why I need God every day. I need God every day. I need him every day. Okay? That's how bad I am. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth, man. And as this message is beginning to come to an end here, I want to finish this off, and I want to leave you with a couple of words, and I'm excited for you. Okay? Peter begins to start walking on water. And what happens next? Here's what happens next. But then, when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out to God, saying, Lord, save me. Here's what I want to share with you, okay? I want to share something with you, okay? We have something called our unconscious mind and our conscious mind, okay? If you guys know what I'm talking about, put it in the mind. This is not some weird stuff. This is the truth, okay? Our conscious mind is responsible for all of the things that we can currently do, okay? Which means if I say arm, go up, it can go up, right? It's all of the things that we can consciously control, okay? Our unconscious mind does all of the back end, right? It works out the back end. So it's in charge of making a heartbeat, right? Can you imagine if you had to consciously tell your heart to beat? Can you imagine how hard life would be? It's like heartbeat, beat, beat, beat. And the moment you stop saying that, heartbeat, your heart stops beating, right? Because you got to consciously keep saying that. Well, our unconscious mind has the ability to work things out on the back end, on the background, right? So as I'm talking, my unconscious mind is making my heart beat. Isn't it beautiful how God has designed us, right? Right? Well, guess what? It's the same thing with breathing, right? It's like you're not paying attention to breathing. Maybe you're now paying attention to how you breathe because I've mentioned it. I brought it into your conscious mind, right? Well, guess what? Could it be that Peter, for a second, was unconscious? It was early in the morning, right? And he actually stepped out with faith, with nothing, no limiting beliefs, no disbeliefs, no doubts. It was just him, just 100% believing that he could stretch out to God. But then the moment he wakes up and he's like, whoa, what am I doing? This doesn't make any sense. This is not real. I'm not supposed to walk on water. And he begins to sink. I'll tell you a quick story. I was in New York a couple of months ago, and it was me, my wife, and my brother and sister. We decided to do a parkour class in Brooklyn. When we got out of that class, we got an Uber to take us to the train station, okay? I don't know about you, but I normally fall asleep in cars, okay? That's how at the moment I step into a car, I fall asleep. I fall asleep, and when we finally get there, my wife taps me on the shoulder. She's like, wake up, babe, we're here. And this is what happened. And I just get out of the car, and I just start walking. Like, I'm not even thinking. My legs are just walking. I go downstairs. I purchase a ticket. I get in the train. The doors close. Boom. And then I wake up, and I'm like, whoa. What the? And then I see my family looking from the outside, and I can see their faces. They're like, what a jerk. But it's almost like I was unconscious. I was just walking. I wasn't fully aware, right? Sometimes, I'm not sure if that's ever happened to you, right? But the reason why I share that with you is because I believe that we're made in God's image. That's what the Bible says, right? And I believe that we all have the faith that's required for us to fulfill what we need to fulfill, do what we need to do, whatever you feel like God has called you to do, right? But the only thing that gets in our way sometimes is at the moment we